Chiro here for Umbra Games with the first in a series of reviews for the Halo Master Chief Collection, this one specifically on Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, played on Xbox One. The Halo Master Chief Collection includes the core numbered series of Halo, the first through the fourth, and tons of multiplayer options mixed from those respective games. In addition, you can download Halo ODST for an additional $5 to play as well. This collection features a lobby for gathering teammates together and a smooth interface to easily keep track of your progress across all the titles. So I'll admit it's a challenge to review Halo Combat Evolved objectively for a couple of reasons. Aside from a few earlier games like Red Faction, Halo was one of the first dual-stick first-person shooters I played on consoles, and was definitely the most popular at the time. So while there is a bit of nostalgia going on here, it's also the game that I played both through the campaign and with 16-player versus on Xbox LAN Party probably a little too much, and it more or less burned me out for the entire rest of the series. Either that or I just had more options available through later years, but as of time of this video I've only ever completed Combat Evolved countless time on all difficulties, Halo 2 once, and Halo 3 once. Many friends and acquaintances talk about how epic the story is, but I see Half-Life Headcrabs and Ringworld by Larry Niven when I play. My journey through this review series will be accompanied by Nightwander, a longtime friend that was around during the initial Halo play period. That said, let's get started. Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition is a touched-up remaster of the 2001 version of the game of the same name, released on the original Xbox and later ported to PC. In this game, we are introduced to the iconic Master Chief as he battles the alien races known as the Covenant to stop them from taking control of a massive ring in space, the titular Halo. Master Chief goes through 10 stages on the campaign, ranging from the human ship Pillar of Autumn to Covenant ships, and to the surface of Halo and its mountains and command centers. The campaign can be played in 2-player cooperative, both split-screen and online. One of the coolest features of Anniversary Edition, which I understand was true for its 360 release as well, is that you can press the view button on the Xbox One controller and flip textures between the original game and the remaster. I wish all HD remasters would do this. It's really fun. Master Chief can carry 2 firearms at a time, and his options range from the human weapons of pistol, assault rifle, shotgun, sniper rifle, and rocket launcher, to the alien weapons, plasma pistol, plasma rifle, and the needler. There are 2 types of grenades, fragmentation and plasma, and you can hold up to 4 of each at the same time. Halo was the first game I remember that allowed you to throw a grenade and stick the plasma ones to any opposition, where they will remain until they detonate, and it's a lot of fun. Halo was also the first console shooter I remember to feature the stay out of line of fire and let your shields recharge when damaged. That said, Master Chief has a life bar also that requires health packs when injured beyond shield level. The Elite Covenant units have the same type of shield though, and in harder difficulty modes it ends up taking magazine after magazine just to bring their shield down, and if you don't stay on them, they'll just recover. That was one thing that always bothered me about the legendary difficulty mode, is how much of a bullet sponge each of these enemies are. Halo is one of the first games I remember to feature fully controllable vehicles in stages that weren't part of a rail shooting or strictly just driving section, meaning you can get in or out at any time and return to first-person combat when out. Multiple riders can also accompany you in some vehicles, such as the human, now iconic Warthog, either as a passenger that can still shoot their firearm, or someone using the mounted turret in the back. Halo also features the hoverbike-like Ghosts and a few areas where you can navigate the Flying Banshee. All vehicles zoom out to a third-person overhead view when entered, which kind of set the standard for many games to come, including games like the Borderlands series. Halo is also the first game to feature the female AI known as Cortana, who gets installed via chip in a Master Chief's helmet. She helps narrate, guide, and direct the story before finally being delivered into your Windows 10 PC and Xbox One. Enemies in Halo range from the Covenant's lovable little grunts to elite units, some even stealth with an ever-coveted laser sword that you can't use in this game, to giant hunter units that charge you and use charged plasma pistols. Once discovered, the Flood is also here, releasing tiny little crabs that jump on and possess carcasses. There are also giant pods of them that explode and cause damage to you, and release more head crabs, and also shooting and melee soldiers as the result of those head crabs merging with human and Covenant bodies. There are a few robotic enemies at a couple points in the game as well, but it always kind of felt that Halo's design suffered a bit from not having any real boss encounters. think the closest thing is dropping grenades into some ventilation shafts, which is worse than bullseyeing womp rats with my T16 back home. Not sure if it changed or I changed, but man was that a pain this time. Another thing about Halo's level design that bothered me is the retread. I mean, the large, empty, repetitive spaces, not just the fact you're playing the same areas again, but even with the levels where you're blowing up the cores. Each of the 3 core areas is identical, and aside from the outside traversal to get to each one, the hour you're there is a really long feeling hour. Yeah, that's right, we didn't try to rush and meet the time trials for each stage in this Anniversary Edition. We played it old school, taking it in and being sure to kill anything that moved. Sometimes that even included each other. Yes, there's friendly fire. One thing to appreciate about though is that there's still quite a bit of freedom in map navigation, still tending to keep some of the older feel of previous shooters as opposed to the straight corridor shooters that came later. We're not talking Doom level of involvement and complexity, but hadn't quite reached that Call of Duty level of restriction either. I'm sure anyone hearing me review Xbox One games is getting tired of me mentioning, but it literally took 42 minutes to install the Master Chief Collection onto my Xbox One. There was a 19 gigabyte update to download as well. At this point, I'm pretty well convinced that after the Xbox versus PlayStation blowout when the consoles were announced that Microsoft was going to go all digital, that they didn't change any of the One's architecture, just allowing the disc to function as a CD key and download media, still requiring the entire game to be installed to the hard drive in full. But it is what it is. So with the variety of weapons, the ability to play cooperatively, and the remastered environments, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition still has some life in it. Rated as a first-person shooter, with 50 being an average game on a true 1 to 100 scale, Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition lands at a 64 out of 100. This is Giro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're wanting more objective reviews or reminders of what Halo is all about. Or feel free to follow me on Twitter @Umbra Games.